Hello everybody and welcome back to RachandBella Crafts. My name is Rachel and this is my channel. This is our new collaboration for the month of April 2023, and this month we are going to be working on the collaboration theme of Show Some Style. Now, I know I've mentioned this a couple of times in the past, over the past weeks rather, not in the past, but I haven't really gone into any details about exactly what we'll be covering. So I'm going to run through really quickly basically who's taking part, how the collaboration is going to run, what we will be working with and utilising, where you can find freebies, where you can find any kits, add-ons, all that kind of stuff, and what stuff for you to start scrimmaging around looking for in preparation for the amazing tutorials that are coming up. So before I go any further, if I can just bring your attention to the hashtag for the collaboration. I will put it on the screen here for you now, just in case you miss it. The hashtag is hashtag Show Some Style JJ, which obviously stands for Junk Journal 23. Show Some Style JJ 23. I've popped the JJ in because if I just put in hashtag Show Some Style, it would be taking you down the roads of curtains, carpets, and all these other wonderful things that people have when styling their homes. I know because I checked. And obviously I've done 23 because that's the year. And we may do this next year. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so I really wanted to talk to you all about journaling styles, because I know there can be a lot of confusion for many of you that are new to junk journaling, may not understand the differences. The one thing I do want to just quickly say now before we begin this collaboration, this is my disclaimer. Anything that is discussed or is mentioned in any of these collaborative videos are obviously the thoughts, learns and opinions of those that are taking part in the collaboration. This is not law, this is not fact, it is not set in hard stone. You may go to other areas of the internet or wherever and read something completely different, and that's absolutely fine, because the main thing that I want to explain to you today about journaling styles is it is all down to your personal interpretation, and that's what's really important here. So please don't go off and quote us and say, oh, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that, that must be the way it is. That's not quite how it is. At the end of the day, it's interpretive, as is any art, as is any style of craft. But this is what we will be talking about and learning about in this collaboration. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of make that really clear, because if you were to go off and do your own bit of research now and come back to something completely different, which is fine, there's going to be lots of different interpretations. So I've watched heaps and heaps of YouTube videos whilst preparing for this, because I wanted to get you the best information that I could find. I wanted to kind of collate as much of the knowledge that is out there, because this was one of my biggest confusions when starting to really explore junk journaling. You know, I kind of grasped how a junk journal traditionally went together, and how obviously the most eclectic and authentic junk journals clearly are created with junk and only junk. But it doesn't just have to be that way. That is one singular style of how to create a junk journal. So before we get any further into that, first and foremostly, huge welcome to the amazing creators that are taking part in the collaboration this month. We have Edith from Scrapbooking With Me. We have Bella from Bella's Crafty Studio, who is of course the other half to my RachandBella. That's my mum, for those of you that don't yet know. We have the lovely Angela Kerr. We have Wendy joining us from Wendy's Journal Adventures. I'm very excited to have her on board with us this month. And her very good friend, Gail Agostinelli. Agostinelli, did I say that right? Yes. Then you'll have me on the 16th. So that's the first week, that's this week. Next week then you will have Corey from Creating With Scraps. You will have the lovely Carol Laws joining us again. Always lovely to have Carol with us. We will have our lovely Rose from Journals in Time. We've got Melina back with us again, another mother-daughter duo going on at Me Crafty Scrapper. Carol Ann from Cadge Crafts. I'm going to just put a pin in that for the minute. Can you all please remember Carol Ann in your thoughts? She is unwell again at the moment. Well, I say again, she hasn't not been unwell, but she's quite poorly Many of you will know she does suffer with a long-term condition. She's at the moment in hospital. So Caroline, we are sending you all of our thoughts and love, my lovely girl. But I know Caroline is incredibly organised, and I'm not quite sure if she's done her video in advance. So she remains in the collaboration no matter what. If she hasn't got a video to put up on that day, I would ask that you would go and watch one of her previous videos, because she has actually just done an entire series on the subject, one of the subjects that we're going to be covering. So I know she has content there for you to go and watch, guys. So if you would go and support her channel, I would really, really appreciate that. That'd be great. And I will link one of those videos in if the worst should happen and she not be able to get her video done. Either way, we will be supporting Caroline. We have also got Karen, who is new to us this collaboration. She is coming from Grace Be Creation, so welcome to Karen. We've got Kerry the Crafter back with us, Kerry Griffiths, another Welshie. Hi Kerry, how are you? Great to have you back on board as well. We've then got my design team girls then, extras here. Shiva from Berry Mix Journals. We have got Stacey from Stacey's Crafty Jam. I believe it's Stacey's first collaboration with us as well. She is a newbie to our collab world. So welcome to you too, Stacey. We've got the lovely Steph from Hilltop View Journals, another Welshie. Our Shona from Fraps and Scraps. We've got Joanne from Creating with Jovi. Another newbie is Barbara from Buy Bar Paper Lover. Now, Barbara, I came across Barbara by watching Margaret on Seven Plaza, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us this time because she's absolutely snowed under, because she's on this incredible schedule at the minute and she's just ploughing full scale through that at the moment. But she has promised me she will be back with us in the summer. But she wonderfully introduced us to Barbara. They did a little bit of a swap collab, I think last month, if you remember. And I was being nosy and I kind of shot off and checked her out, and I thought, oh, I wonder if she'd like to join our collab. So Barbara, welcome. She's also on the team with us this time. Now you will notice it's a shorter one this time. I didn't feel that this subject needed huge going over, and the collaboration's got a bit of a different twist on it this time as well. So rather than just the collaborators being given a theme and a kit to work with and them going off and preparing you a tutorial, I've actually set them all a challenge. I've been a bit mean. I wanted to kind of test their creativity. I wanted to kind of stretch us all this time, because sometimes it can be a bit easy for us to get stuck in our comfort zone. I know I very much do. And I've had something in the back of my mind that I've really wanted to try for years now, and just haven't had the guts to do it. Simple as that. I've been a bit of a chicken. So I'm hoping this will push me to just give it a go and really push myself out of my comfort zone. I hope you're going to join us on that kind of learning journey. So before I explain to you what the challenge is, let's get into some detail about what it is that we're going to be learning about. So we're going to be discussing and demonstrating the different styles of junk journaling. Now, some people call it styles, some people call it aesthetics. I'm going to stick with the term styles because that's just what I'm used to, that's what I understand. If you do hear the term aesthetic elsewhere, it's possibly what they're referring to as in what we are referring to as styles. To myself and to my understanding, you have styles and then you have themes. So a style is when you're talking about the elements of the journal. It's talking about the materials that you use, the colours you use, your motifs, the kind of feel, the ethos, the reason behind it. Does that make sense? When you're talking about themes, you're talking about a reoccurring idea maybe that is explored through the journal, something that gives it meaning, something that's used visually. So for example, we're talking about styles, we'll be talking about things like steampunk, shabby chic, vintage. We're talking about, you've got things in like bohemian, you've got other things like goth, you've got things like nature, botanicals, that they are styles. If you're talking about themes, you would be talking about things like Easter. You would talk about things like roses and lace. You would talk about things like, I don't know, something even more specific, a theme. Beatrix Potter, there we go, there's an example. So Beatrix Potter would be the theme of your journal, but the style of your journal may vary. Now, this is a cracking example. If ever you wanted a better example than that, go straight to our Facebook page now, and you will see all of the amazing projects that have been uploaded by you guys, not me, by you guys, and it shows the different ways in which you can take a theme or an idea and then run with it in your own style. So some of you have done it in a vintage style. Some of you have done it in a shabby chic style, where you've got lots of lace and, you know, really drawn on the kind of pastel colours and that side of things. Some of you may have been really, really brave and thought outside the box and done it in a steampunk style. And some of you may have gone down the botanical route and really pulled out all of the kind of nature elements of it and the floral elements of it, because there were a lot of those elements in the Beatrix product kit. So that was a really good example, I suppose, of one that you could take and do in a different style. You could have done it in a bohemian style and gone with all these different colours and you know, really explored that. And bohemian is more eclectic, so that's where you're bringing in all the different kinds of colours and styles and popping them together. So what I have done is I have picked 4 styles for us to work with. So I'm going to give you a quick, this is going to be your go-to help sheet, okay? This is what's been the hold up for me today and why I am a little late getting my video out. I've had printing issues and then internet issues, but anyway, I'm here, we're nearly done. So what I have done is a quick self-help sheet for you. And on this self-help sheet, you'll be able to get this for free off the coffee page. Go and get it there. It's your freebie today. You can download this and then you can pop this up on the wall in your craft room. Now, these are the 4 styles that we are going to be exploring. So I've picked Botanical, Vintage, Shabby Chic and Steampunk. Now, not to be confused, Shabby Chic is an arm of a vintage style because obviously it tends to be old, doesn't it? But whereas we've got vintage as in perhaps what you might refer to as academia. So that's vintage book pages, ephemera, the more papery kind of things. Shabby chic tends to be, because that's kind of like very neutrals and browns and just really old looking, whereas the shabby chic style of things tends to be more perhaps fresher in colour and in its approach. It's more the vintage flowers, gardens, birds, bees, tea parties, sewing, and vintage household items such as lampshades. I'm not quite sure why we would want to put a lampshade in, but you may do, you just never know. So botanical, what is the botanical theme? Well, let's have a little look at that. So for a botanical theme, you'd be looking at things such as nature elements and things that are made from natural materials, perhaps. So if you were looking at fabrics, you would be thinking of things like hessian, you'd be thinking of things like cheesecloth. You know, we don't tend to use lace as much in a botanical journal. I know some do quite successfully, but it's not the kind of your run-to material. You would tend to keep your laces for more the shabby chic, unless you live in my house and then lace just goes into everything, because I like putting lace in. But I'm going to give you an example now of, I don't actually have full-on examples of all of these here, because that's why we're doing this challenge, because I don't have anything in my room that I've created in a steampunk style even. So that's my biggest challenge this time round. But here's a quick example of something I would say I would kind of think of as a botanical style journal. This is the one that I bought from Mandy from Sunflowers and Doors back last year. It's absolutely beautiful. And the themes, well, the styles that she's used throughout are, I would say, very botanical in the elements that are used. So she's using natural fibres. There's obviously lots of imagery of leaves. There's birds there, yes, of course. You've got this floral decor going on. And everything is quite earthy in its tones. You've got, I mean, you could almost say there's a crossover perhaps with the steampunk, because you've got the metal elements in it, because that tends to be going down a bit of a steampunk route. But I would definitely say this is, in its style, very botanical. You know, you've got the green and brown earthy tones, and of course obviously it's going to be more in of a botanical style, I suppose, because it is, of course, lots of tin foils in it, which is beautiful. You've also got papers that have been dyed, Very often you can do that using food colourings and things like that. Again, it fits in with the kind of botanical theme. You've got motifs of flowers, but you know, you're getting the idea. It's these kind of tones, these kind of elements that you would bring in to have that kind of botanical feel about a journal. And of course the green ribbon. What else? Then if we're going to have a look at vintage, so vintage would be inspired by things like traditional notebooks and, you know, other rare kind of finds like that. So, you know, you would go somewhere and pick up something like this. Everything about it feels vintagey. The quilt is vintage, the lace is vintage, and it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? Compilation of just things that somebody's had lying around. Oh, that's the impression it's meant to give, obviously. I mean, I know this has been very beautifully crafted, but that's the impression it's meant to give. It's that somebody has used the bits and pieces lying around and they've genuinely made, really, I suppose, what you would call a traditional junk journal. You know, you're going to find lots of paper ephemera in a vintage journal, because that's really what it's all about. It's all about the paper ephemera. You know, we've got old calendars in here. It's all about the memories, basically. I always think of a vintage journal. It's the keepsakes. It's you using old vintage papers, repurposing stuff. You know, if you're going to have a few patterns in it, they're going to be oldie looking, you know. Stamping, that's another big plus with vintage. You know, you want your, even down to your ironmongery, your paper clips to look old. Stitching is probably an element I would say comes into most of these styles, if not all of them. But yeah, anything vintage is just designed to look well, old, and to try and use as many of the older elements as you can. So imagery that you would find in a vintage journal would be books, candles, marble statues, feather dip pen and ink, antiquated stationery, so things like typewriters, mathematical symbols, perhaps, maps, and of course vintage fashion. So that's the kind of stuff that tends to come under that bracket, okay, when you're looking at vintage. So each one of these little squares has got an example of, you know, perhaps colours, perhaps materials that you might like to use. So again, I put with the vintage style material, classical literature, book pages, music sheets, craft paper, leather. There's a little section there about the imagery. So with the botanical, you might have plant diagrams in there, flowers, plant ephemera from vintage books, your own hand sketches. It's a great thing to put into botanical journals. And then of course the colour schemes. So I've said about, you know, earthy colours, greens, browns, neutrals in botanicals, and then in vintage you'd have things like old library colours, mahogany, tan, cream, browns, and the palette that we would use for fall. Now the difference then being with shabby chic, you're going to be looking for something that's going to be more like this. So you're going to be looking for like laces, softness, soft tones, and pastels as well. So you're looking for it's the ode to vintage softness. That was the best description that I found on the internet. This is a beautiful journal that Bella made for me a little while ago, and it really just sums it up completely. You know, you've got imagery there of gardens, flowers. I'm sure I saw a bird in here just now as well when I was flipping through. You know, as we were looking at the other day with the sewing, vintage sewing, again, that could be a shabby chic theme, but done in a shabby chic style. You know, you've got your old sewing pattern paper in here, lacy kind of digitals. You've got old papers again, but they tend to be in softer tones. You know, it's not, you wouldn't put old math diagrams into a shabby chic journal. You would put that into a vintage journal or a steampunk journal, but not in a shabby chic. Shabby chic tends to be softer and just more romantic, worn look. So, you know, these sorts of colours are perfect. Anything like this really, you know, bows, hearts, ribbons, all that kind of thing. Roses, definitely roses. I think they are probably the emblem of shabby chic. But, you know, this is just to give you an idea of those kind of styles. And this kind of torn look as well is perfect, because it is meant to be shabby as well at the end of the day. So that's a little example for you of shabby chic. And then the only things that I had in here to show you to demonstrate steampunk. Now steampunk, you're talking about metallic elements, metallic paints, an industrial mechanical feel. You may include technology imagery from the late 19th century. It is a style that has come from a fictional Victorian society that runs on steam. It often involves science and industry. So bear in mind, nobody actually walked around like that in the Victorian day. It is built off this fictional idea, but it's derived by taking the imagery from things like keys, you know, metal, book closures, things like that. You know, again, you could bring in your leather to it. You're then going to be looking at diagrams, so things like this set of books, definitely this, anything to do with the steam age, so, you know, Titanic. Oh, that would be a perfect theme for you to do a steampunk themed journal with. And what else have we got in here that I was going to show you? Yes, obviously diagrams and things, so balloons, airspace, anything like this really. You're going to want to include things with like acrylic paint, your distress oxide you can use, gold wax, crackle paint, cogs and gears, brads, safety pins, keys. So basically any of your, you know, your decorative bits, like this, for example, anything that's made of metal is going in the steampunk journal. You know, get that in there. Typography and calligraphy. So that's another interesting thing that you could be looking through magazines and newspapers for. Anything that's got an interesting font, get it out, put it aside. Anything to do with clocks, all that kind of stuff. Grab all those things because you're going to need them for your steampunk, because I really hope you guys are going to challenge yourselves as well. I know some of you love it and really embrace it, but a lot of us are quite frightened of steampunk. I know I definitely am. I'm not frightened, I really want to have a go, but I think it's just feeling like, oh, what can I use? Well, by the end of this 3 weeks, I will know what to do, and I expect myself to have a pot full of steampunk themed ephemera. So what are we working with? Well, everybody that's in the collaboration has been given a copy of this kit. A taile, the family, it means in Welsh, or taile it is actually. That kit came out middle of last month. Here are some of the pages here. That's not it, that's out of my spring kit. I don't know why that's in there. The idea of this kit was to create a family album. These are all my draft pages in here, so that's just some examples of them there. But it was to make a scrapbook, somewhere to put all of your vintage photographs, or just you know, a memory album. There is also an add-on kit. It is the Welsh ephemera kit. That includes all of these lovely frames, all of these lovely photographs. There are cabinet cards in there. Oh, photos galore. What else is in there? And then there's a stack then of this lovely Welsh ephemera. We've got envelopes in there. Now, some of this stuff does start to then cross over into the steampunk style. So you can see things that have started to be worked in here. Also a little bit of vintage, and then maybe a little bit of, what did we say? Shabby chic with the embroidery, maybe. You can cross over there. Because, of course, I'm going to be encouraging you as well to see if you can blend your styles. But you've got frames, you've got tickets. Oh, there's heaps going on there. So that's what our collaborators are going to be working with. I have also today given them a set of backgrounds. Now, I will be putting these up. This kit is going to be super cheap. It'll be up today on our coffee. All the kits at the moment are in our, not in our Facebook group. I don't put kits in the Facebook group. What am I talking about? Etsy and coffee. All of the kits this month are up for 50% off. There is a sale. I have done you a stack of backgrounds that I felt would give you a grounding for these themes. So you've got bits of steampunk with the clocks, again with the ironmongery. There's a fleur-de-lis I've popped in there. Collier, flower, means miner in Welsh, just in case anybody's wondering what that word means. I've done some shabby chic and botanical style pages, and I've just done those then into a, there's another steampunky one there. These ones here I've done as, what's that called? It is called a collage page. I couldn't get those words out then. So there you go. There's a pack of 10 backgrounds there, and they basically are great to add on as a base for whatever style you're going to be working with. They will go quite nicely with this kit here, or any other kit you may decide to work with. You do not have to work with the kit that we are working with, but I know it does help you to know what we are going to be doing. So I'm not going to create anything today, guys, because I've just given you a whole load of information, and I've just given you all a task to do now. Here is your list. This is not a shopping list. I don't expect to see any angry husbands or wives at the end of the day because you've shot off from here and gone to Amazon. This is a go forage list, right? Also, go and look through what you've got in your imagery existing. because we're going to be covering Botanical. Well, this time last year we did the How to Botanical collaboration. I know loads and loads and loads of you bought the collaboration kit for that. I've also given that kit to the collaborators, so you may see some of those elements come out. So go and grab that ready. If you've got it there, pop it on the side so you've got your botanical imagery as well. But yes, no, this is not a carte blanche to go shopping. Obviously, if you do, I'm not going to be blamed for that. But there is here a nice condensed list of ideas and directions that we may take this in. I have no idea what our wonderful collaborators are going to do. Some of them have given me a heads up on what theme. They've all got to take 2 themes. Sorry, I didn't explain what the challenge was. They've all got to take 2 of the themes. So they can pick any 2. And then they've got to create something in each of their styles. So for example, if today I was going to make 2 tags in a certain style, or rather in a certain theme, and then I was going to do them one in a botanical style and one in a steampunk style. At the end of the video, you would have 2 tags, one in botanical, one in steampunk. So that is their challenge. I'm challenging them to challenge themselves. And I've also specifically asked them to pick something that they're familiar with and then another style that maybe they don't work with very often. So those of you that are used to then watching their styles and what they create will know they're pushing themselves out their comfort zone. I'm really excited. I hope you're excited. I can't wait for this collaboration to start tomorrow with Edith. Bless her. I hope she's remembered, because I know she's got loads and loads going on as well. I might just go and give her a little poke now and just remind her. But yeah, guys, be excited. Go and forage now. Go and get the sheet. It's on Coffee. Download it. Print it off, put it on your walls in front of you. I will also have this on there too. Print that off, stick it in front of you so you know where you're going every day. There'll be a playlist. I will save the video to the playlist, and I always pop up a post when the videos go up anyway, unless I'm out of the house. But yeah, and if you follow them all, please follow them all and put the little bell. You'll get a notification then as soon as the video goes up, so you won't miss a single thing. It's 3 weeks, guys. Stick with us. I'll be doing other things as we're going along in the background as well, because I'm also still doing my 100-day challenge. So again, this is your task for today. So if you are doing the 100-day challenge, you guys have got to now go and find your elements. I expect to see some photographs on the Facebook group after of all the stuff that you've gone and found to tell me that you are ready for collab. April 2023, show some style. I'm off now, guys. My cooker is beeping and I will be back with you all tomorrow. Take care, everybody. See you all very soon. Bye now.